shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the Kanoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Alrighty everybody, thank you for tuning in to this, the 36th iteration of the Konoha Companion. This is Joshua, as always. I'm your Konoha Companion, and on this episode we're going to be covering episode 35 of Naruto, entitled The Scroll's Secret, No Peeking Allowed. But before we get too far off into that, I want to firstly thank everybody for sticking with us. I know that there's been a period of time where we weren't really producing too much content. I believe I spoke about it previously where our old studio got destroyed by a tornado, which was a bummer, but we're here now, and we have better equipment, a dedicated space, video and stuff, and so I'm hoping that it's going to be a noted improvement on what we were producing previously. We're really serious about it. We're really enjoying doing the podcast and stuff, so I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it as well. We're here for the full ride all the way through Boruto, so stay strapped in. But before we dive too far off into what happened on this episode, I want to go over what happened on the previous episode. On the previous episode, basically, remember this is post the big fight with the Sound Ninja guys, and Naruto's still passed out on the ground, and Choji winds up bonking him on the head with the stick to wake him up. Naruto, when he wakes up, immediately freaks out, remembering that the grass ninja exists. He realizes at that moment that Sakura's hair has been cut. He talks to Sakura about it, but Sakura keeps on a brave face. 10-10 scolds Rock Lee for making bad decisions, charging off in there by himself. Naruto goes to talk shit to Lee, and Sakura punches his lights out in classic fashion, right? She's gonna defend Rock Lee at this point, considering the way that he defended her. Sakura thanks Lee, and Lee promises to be stronger next time they meet. He also gives he gives Sasuke his due props. Ino is proud of Sakura and helps her with her hair, but they just can't help but continue to talk shit and be rivals. It's just part of their relationship. It shows us Akamaru, who's shaken by something, and we get a flashback to what caused it. And at this point it shows us Akamaru and Kiba catching a scent as they're running through the trees. Hinata checks in the direction of the scent with her Byakugan and discovers Gaara and the rest of their team. Kiba winds up roping the team into checking it out like a dumbass. They wind up watching a standoff transpire between the Sand siblings and this team of Hidden Rain Ninja. As they get closer, Akamaru gets spooked by Gaara's chakra, which Team 8 mistakes for the leader of the Hidden Rain Village's chakra. His name's Shigure. Shigure uses his Senbon Rainstorm jutsu, which hits directly, but who cares? Gaara's sand defense stops it no problem. It happens on its own, right? Gaara's sand defense is something he doesn't even have to think about. He's just got an infinite sand wall that's going to stop everything that comes his way. He uses the sand, Gaara that is, uses the sand coffin to sand burial ultra combo. It's a pretty goddamn brutal jutsu. It literally makes it rain sand blood. The remaining Rain Ninja give up their Heaven Scroll, but Gaara kills them anyways because he's fucking crazy and has bloodlust. Team 8 realizes how bad of a situation they've happened across, and they dip the fuck out of there. Gaara wants to keep killing, but his siblings convince him to go to the tower. The Sand siblings and Team 8 see one another in the tower, which obviously freaks out Team 8, right? They know that Gaara's a lunatic. Anko, a sentinel, and 2 Anbu review footage of Gaara in the tower, and they realize that he doesn't even have a scratch on him. And he's completely destroyed the previous record for amount of time it takes to reach the tower with both scrolls. So everybody who's paying attention is like, wow, what the fuck is going on with Gaara and these guys? One of the Anbu points out that Gaara's eyes are like just pure evil, and the episode ends. Which brings us to where we are now, where Naruto and several of his clones are shirtless by the riverbank, eyeballing a couple of passing fish. They all together go, breakfast time, shadow clone fishing jutsu, bombs away, and they dive bomb into the water. And as the splashing settles, it's revealed that Sasuke is standing nearby with a kunai drawn, ready to play his part in the fishing. Naruto and his clones are swimming alongside the fish underwater, forcing them towards the surface. The fish leap out of the water to avoid Naruto, where Sasuke is waiting, who promptly nails 3 of them to a tree with a kunai. Naruto reaches the water and gasps for air, where Sasuke mocks, "Come on, is that it? I only got 3. Now go and do it again." Naruto sharply exclaims, "What?" as Sasuke continues, "I could eat 3 fish myself." Naruto breathes heavily out of his nostrils and begins flailing his arms up and down, splashing as he yells, "Well, if you think it's so easy, why don't you get wet and I'll stand on the shore?" When suddenly Sakura calls out for Sasuke from the side, catching both of their attention. Sakura continues, "The fire's ready, I could use some of your fireballs," causing Sasuke to groan, and he begins to walk in the direction of Sakura as he complains about how he's got to do everything around here. Naruto takes obvious offense to this and yells, "You do, huh? What have I been doing?" Suddenly the title screen comes in and Naruto reads, "The scroll's secret, no peeking allowed." At this point it transitions us to a fish cooking over a fire where we hear Sasuke say, "It's already been 4 days since the second exam began." Sakura confirms as much when she responds, "That's right." Sasuke then continues, "We're sure not going to break any records, and we only have 24 hours left." Sakura questions aloud, "I wonder how many other teams have already got their scrolls and finished." Meanwhile, Naruto just smiles and is thinking to himself, "I wonder when the fish is going to be done. I could eat a whale." And it's funny, these two are like having a serious conversation and Naruto is just like, "I'm going to eat this fish." Sasuke then picks up and looks at their blue earth scroll as he thinks, "If we don't get a break soon, we're finished." Naruto is like off to the side nibbling on his finger as he watches the fish continue to cook. He's thinking as he does this, "Almost ready. If I move fast, I bet I can snag the biggest one before the others get it." At this point it transitions us to the point of view of some shinobi running along tree limbs in the forest. From outside of the field of view, we can hear a conversation where one ninja is saying, what are we doing? Who are we chasing? There's probably no one left in the forest anyway." And another ninja responds, "So what do we do?" When suddenly the field of vision reaches a clearing and a team of leaf ninja that had been speaking lands on the ground to catch their breath. The ninja on the right says, "You're right, the other teams must have all finished by now." And the one on the left responds, "Yeah, it's been 4 days." He then stands up and looks toward the sky as he continues, "Anyway, we've been going since dawn. No need to kill ourselves. I'll go try and find something to eat. You guys rest." He then leaps and vanishes into the canopy, and the remaining teammates take a seat and rest. One of them hollers at the other, "Hey, if I remember right, I think the other scroll, it had heaven written on it. And it was different from this one because it had white around the edges, right?" And the other ninja with the green eye paint responds, "I don't know, I guess so. I wasn't really paying too much attention when they showed them to us. Anyway, why? What's the big deal all of a sudden?" And he looks over to the one who has the scroll in his hand, and he has like this crazy look in his face, and he's laughing as he looks at the scroll. And these guys obviously aren't too smart, right? One of them's considering opening the scroll, one of them can't even really remember like what the other scroll was. Like they weren't paying super great attention, right? And now they're a little confused out there in the field. The ninja with the green eye paint then remarks, "Whoa, you're not really thinking, dot dot dot." And the ninja with the scroll continues to chuckle, like even like more maniacally, as he turns to face the ninja with the green eye paint. Right, so at this point, there's like two ninja primarily having the conversation. One of them has like spiky hair and he has a scroll in his hand, and the other has green eye paint, and he's kind of the person who's witnessing this. It suddenly takes us back to the squadlings who are sitting around their campfire eating fish, when Sakura suddenly frowns as she like stares at her fish, like clearly not really appetized by it. She remarks, "We have to face it, there may not be any more heaven scrolls left." Sasuke lowers the fish from his face and remarks aloud, "Well, that's a cheerful thought." But Naruto just keeps smashing his fish, completely unbothered. Sakura responds, "Maybe so, but it's true. Look, you said it yourself, Sasuke. This is the 4th day we've been out here. That means we've already used up 80% of the time we've got to complete the exam. Only 13 teams can pass because there's only 13 pairs of heaven and earth scrolls. And you've got 26 teams, 78 candidates out looking for them. And if those odds weren't bad enough, things have gotten even worse. Don't forget that creep Orochimaru burnt the heaven scroll we had." And it shows Orochimaru burning the scroll, flashback style. Sasuke nods his head, remarking, "Yeah, I remember." Sakura then continues, "The number of complete pairs of scrolls that could be found was reduced by 1 right there. Not to mention all the ones that had been found and secured by the other teams since then." Sasuke turns and looks at the scroll as he adds, maybe we gave ourselves too much time to rest and recover from our last fight. I don't know. What I do know is that we've got to get serious now and make up for lost time. The next enemy we face could be our last chance." He then stands up and lets the rest of the squadlings know, "I'm going to get some water." He then turns his back to the squadlings and heads off without really giving them much of an opportunity to respond. At this point, Naruto stops chomping on his fish and looks over at the scroll. He then reaches out, grabs the scroll, and whispers, "Hey, Sakura." This gets Sakura's attention, and Naruto continues with a shitty little grin on his face as he shakes the scroll back and forth. "I know how we can do this without having to fight anyone. Look." Naruto then opens his satchel and dumps out a bunch of scrolls, and Sakura is a little bit confused by this and goes, "Look at what?" Naruto responds, "What do you mean, look at what? Scrolls. I've got a ton of them." And at this moment, he picks up a random scroll from the ground. He continues, "Manuals of ninjutsu and stuff like that. We could change one of these to look exactly like the Heaven Scroll." Sakura stops him right there, yelling, "Stop, don't even. If you could fake the outside, how do you fake what's written on the inside? You wouldn't know without reading it, and that's against the rules, idiot," as she points directly at him. Right? So, Naruto is an idiot, right? Doing something that was expressly forbidden, right? And Sakura is a square, gonna follow the rules no matter what. It's kind of classic behavior out of these two. At this point, Naruto rubs his chin, remarking, "I've got it all figured out. I think these have a secret code written in them that only makes sense if you put them both together. Yeah! And that secret code is like a password you need to get into the tower at the end of the exam. Get it?" He moves in closer to Sakura with excitement. And Sakura responds, "All I get is that you're a Nimrod." And this clearly confuses Naruto, because he's a Nimrod. When Sakura yells, "We've never even had a Heaven Scroll, so how in the world are we going to fake what was inside of it?" And Naruto responds, oh. And he kind of hangs his head in shame, right? Realizing that his plan was stupid. Sakura, eye-twitching, demands, "The next brilliant idea you get, how about keeping it to yourself? We got enough problems." Naruto picks his head up and says, "But wait, we do have a clue what's inside the Heaven Scroll, the Earth Scroll." And Sakura is immediately angered by this, and she scowls and demands, "You wouldn't." Naruto narrows his gaze and demands, "It's our only chance. I'm gonna open and read this scroll." And Sakura immediately punches this fool and knocks some sense into him. In like classic Naruto and Sakura style. I mean, she knocks the shit out of him and goes on to yell, "Naruto, can't you get it through your empty head? We're expressly forbidden from opening the scrolls before arriving at the tower." And Naruto's like on the ground, holding his bump on his head, crying, and he yells, "Yeah, I know, but if we don't do anything, we'll never make it." And this causes Sakura to sit back as she lets out like a defeated sigh. Right? Like this clearly like made some form of sense to Sakura. You know, if we don't do anything, we're not going to make it, and that's a fact for sure. They both stare at the scrolls for a few seconds, and the scene transitions to the other couple of Leaf Ninja who we were following earlier, who are facing the same dilemma. The ninja with the scroll kneels, ready to rip open the scroll, and he turns to the ninja with the green eye paint and nods. And like the ninja with the green eye paint gives him a nod back, right? Like they're both in agreement on this. His hands tremble as he moves closer to opening the scroll. The ninja with the green eye paint remarks, "Careful, take it slow, it might be booby-trapped or something." And the ninja with the scroll agrees, "Yeah, I thought of that." He then breaks the seal on the scroll, and we're taken back to Naruto and Sakura, right? Like right as the suspense mounts, right when they're about to open it, yoinks us back to Naruto and Sakura. And at this point, Naruto and Sakura are literally in the same position, right? Naruto and Sakura. Naruto's the idiot. Sakura's the one who's willing to go along with it. Sasuke, the one who would typically stop this type of behavior, is out doing something else productive for the team. The same thing's happening to these other guys, right? One's an idiot, one's kind of going along with it, and the one that would typically be being productive is out being productive, gathering food. And so, at this point, Naruto has the scroll, and Sakura's backing him up, and their hearts are like beating heavily. Naruto moves his hand closer to the seal and gulps real big. He takes one more look at Sakura, and she gives him an assuring nod. A bead of sweat drops from Naruto's chin to the scroll, and he moves his thumb closer to begin breaking the seal. It then takes us back to the other group of Leaf Ninja who are working up the courage to open their scroll, and they're both shocked by what they see when they open it, and all you hear is like them screaming in the woods after that, which ultimately gets the attention of their teammate who was out gathering food. He turns in the direction of where he heard the screaming come from, drops his mushrooms, and runs in the direction of his teammates. When he gets there, he finds his teammates knocked out on the ground. He runs up yelling, "Hey, what's wrong, you guys?" He then spots the scroll on the ground and asks aloud, "Hey, what's the scroll doing here? What happened? What did you guys do?" And he like looks at the scroll, looks at them, looks at the scroll, looks at them, and just the guy clearly still doesn't quite have it, right? He doesn't completely have his head wrapped around what's happened. And these guys are just a pack of idiots, right? One of them had the bright idea to do something that was expressly forbidden. One of them didn't have, one of them was dumb enough to go along with that, and the other one isn't smart enough to piece together what happened when he came back and got to the crime scene. So these guys were just like doomed. They were doomed. They never had the wit about them to really get it done. It takes us back to Naruto and Sakura, where Naruto is beginning to break the seal on their scroll. He continues to tremble with uncertainty, but starts to rip the seal, when suddenly a hand comes in and grabs Naruto's hand, preventing him from opening the scroll. It's revealed to be Kabuto. Remember, Kabuto is the gray-haired guy with the glasses that got hit by Dosu's sound jutsu at registration. So there's a little bit of history. He has the cards, right? He was the one who had some limited information on Gaara and had all the information on Rock Lee and was able to share that with the squadlings. And Kabuto says to Sasuke and them, to Naruto and them, I wouldn't do that if I were you. In this moment, Sasuke walks into viewing distance of what is transpiring and immediately thinks, an enemy. And he charges forward, tossing the water he gathered to the side, which is cool, right? Like, he was about that smoke. He thought that his teammates were in trouble, and homie, like, dropped literally everything and was off to defend his teammates, which is cool. I'm here for that type of activity. It cuts away to the campfire, though, and basically they've talked it out, right? And Sasuke is scolding his teammates, saying, I can't believe you guys. Kabuto adds, if I hadn't came along when I did. And Sakura, head hanging in shame, apologizes, saying, sorry, Sasuke. Naruto also kind of halfway apologizes. He goes, kind of grumbles something that sounds similar to sorry, but like legitimately doesn't say it. Kabuto says, there have been others who've broken the rules and tried to peek at the scrolls. I've seen what happens to them. They're protected by a powerful hypnosis jutsu, a kind of hypnosis trap for anyone unwise enough to try and read them. It will knock you senseless, and by the time you wake up, the exam is over. And Sasuke asks, Kabuto, right? We met at registration. What are you doing wandering around all by yourself? Kabuto responds, don't worry, I'm not after your Earth Scroll. Sasuke remarks, I guess not. I suppose if you were, you would have just swiped it from Naruto when you had the chance. So you're looking for a Heaven Scroll too, huh? Kabuto responds, not really. You see, I already have them both. And he pulls out and shows off both of his scrolls, a Heaven and an Earth Scroll, to the squadlings. This clearly catches the attention of Sasuke really hard, and before anyone has a chance to say anything, Kabuto continues, I had a run of luck. I was just on my way to the tower to wait for my teammates to show up. So if you'll excuse me. He then turns his back to the team and starts to walk off, which clearly frustrates Sasuke, who yells, hold it, to Kabuto, who tilts his head back to look at Sasuke. Sasuke emphatically demands, I'll fight you for it. And suddenly it's revealed that another ninja with a white cloth mask and a respirator of sorts is watching all this transpire from the trees, who excitedly says, what a lucky break. Right, so at this point, there's actually ninja watching these guys from the bushes. That needs to be remembered in the back of your head. Kabuto grins and asks, you'll fight me for it? Sakura chimes in, but Sasuke, while Naruto angrily demands, hold on a second, is this a joke or what? Kabuto turns to face Sasuke entirely and asks, are you serious? To which Sasuke responds, perfectly. Sorry, but I don't have time to play nice. Naruto points at Sasuke while angrily yelling, back off, Sasuke, in case you've forgotten, this guy saved our butts. Sakura chimes in, Naruto's got a point. We don't want to be ungrateful or anything. And Sasuke is just like, shut up. And this clearly shocks Sakura, who kind of quietly goes, but Sasuke. Sasuke then continues, it can't be helped. It's either him or us. Out here, it's all about surviving and winning. Nothing else matters, as he lowers his gaze at Kabuto. Kabuto looks at Sasuke for a second and goes, you're lying. And Naruto asks, he is? And Kabuto mocks, come on, admit it. For all your tough talk, your heart really isn't in it. If it was true, if winning really was the only thing that mattered to you, why openly challenge me to a fight? Why announce it and put me on my guard? Why not just jump me when my back is turned? After all, that's what a ninja would do. And this clearly hits home for Sasuke, right? Remember the password, right? The thing about the ninjas are that they're going to hit you when your guard's down, right? When your weapons are forgotten in the middle of the night, or if your back is turned to them and you're walking away towards the tower. Right, and Kabuto just called Sasuke out for doing something honorable instead of doing something the way a ninja would do it. Naruto crosses his arms and remarks, that's pretty deep. So even Naruto even recognizes that, damn, that's a zinger. Kabuto continues, "It's okay. Actually, I admire you for it. So here's what I'll do. I'll show you the path you should follow. But let's go. It's best we get out of here. The smell of that cooking fire is going to draw every wild beast in the forest, and not only animals, but competition too." Suddenly, it shows us the ninja in the trees. His gaze widens as he leaps from the spot. Kabuto seems to sense this and dons like a confident little smirk, as though him pointing out that the fire is going to draw in competition scared off the competition. Next, it shows us the squadlings and Kabuto making their way through the forest rapidly, through the tree branches. Sasuke asks, "You think there are still other candidates out here?" To which Kabuto responds, "Oh yeah, just think about it. What do you think is the most efficient way of finding scrolls in an area as large as this? To go searching through the forest for them?" Sakura answers, no," like kind of inquisitively. Kabuto confirms, "No, you wait for them to come to you. The tower at the center of the forest is the goal, right? So on the last day of the exam, that area will be crawling with teams converging on the tower with their scrolls." At this point, it shows us a fucking Call of Duty map, right? And it shows the tower, and it shows the trees and the river, and it shows the people walking around like little triangles. Sakura chimes in, "Oh yeah, I get it, like an ambush. So we just head for the tower, find a hiding place, and when a team comes along with the heaven scroll, we jump them and take it." And Kabuto responds, "That's 1/3 of the problem." And this clearly kind of confuses Sakura. She goes, "Huh?" So Kabuto elaborates, "You guys aren't going to be the only ones thinking of this. Every other team that's lacking a scroll will be lying in wait just like you." And Naruto confidently remarks, "So what? The more the merrier, I say. Whoever they are, we'll take care of them." And he lets out a big confident laugh. He lets out a really confident smirk and goes, "Wouldn't want this to be too easy. That wouldn't be any fun. Okay, so we grab someone else's scroll and keep those losers from grabbing ours, and bingo, we pass the second exam." Kabuto at that point chimes in, "That's 2/3 of the problem." And Sakura adds, "Well, at least we're getting closer. What else?" And Kabuto answers, "Well, there's bound to be some collectors lurking around the finish line." And Sakura questions, "Collectors?" And Kabuto continues, "Even when you think you're home free, you can't relax your guard for an instant. This kind of exam always brings them out. Collectors. They gather extra sets of scrolls to use for various ends. For example, to bribe their way out of unexpected situations, or to provide their village mates with a scroll they're lacking. Some steal them to keep candidates from rival villages from passing, or to help out teams from their own village who couldn't find the scrolls on their own. Others steal them for their own dark purposes. They'll hang on to them to use against the stronger teams further down the line. They'll be there all right, and they're bad news. The closer you get to the tower, the more likely you'll run into them." And this is great that Kabuto's warning about people who are going to try and gather up all the scrolls, right? That's Kiba. Kiba's that dude. Kiba tried to go big fish Gaara and realized that Gaara was the big fish, and so Kiba came off that, right? Kiba was like, "Shit, maybe we just get right to the tower and get safe." But it's funny, right, that literally we've already seen a leaf ninja trying to do exactly the thing that Kabuto is warning against right now. It's always kind of fun whenever the things kind of mesh and line up. Sasuke responds to this, "I see, and I think I'm starting to understand why you brought us along with you. It's because you're frightened, aren't you?" And Kabuto responds, "You bet I am." And they continue leaping through the forest, and the scene transitions to the tower, where Kabuto remarks from out of frame, "There's the tower, and that means the end is in sight. Now comes the hard part." Naruto excitedly pumps his fist in the air and remarks, "Well, it's about time, bring it on." Something catches everyone's attention, and Sakura remarks as she turns in the direction of that which got their attention, "There's someone back there." Naruto immediately throws a kunai, which sticks a giant centipede to a tree that it was crawling on. He then laughs and says, "A false alarm, it's just a centipede." Sakura, looking terrified, chimes in, "Just a centipede? That creepy thing's the size of a bus." Kabuto then says, "Hey Naruto, do us a favor and try and keep it down to a dull roar, will you?" This seems to confuse Naruto, so Kabuto chooses to elaborate. See, the whole idea is not to let anyone know we're here. If you go crashing through the forest like an elephant, you're going to draw collectors like flies. We want to find them before they find us. Naruto puts on a big frown but agrees, saying, "Oh yeah, right, I see your point." Which, damn bro, like how dumb are you? Like you're a ninja, you're supposed to be being sneaky, you're supposed to be hiding, and you're just like fist pumping and screaming and shit. Being a knucklehead, bro. Dude's a knucklehead. And he's also wearing bright orange. Like, bruh, how are you gonna...
Power on.
Damn. But how are you gonna be out in the woods trying to actually hide from folk whenever you're wearing bright orange? You're gonna stick out from a mile away to anybody. So I don't know. Naruto's whole thing isn't necessarily sneakiness. I guess would be a fair conclusion. But they're trying to get him to play the game the way they're expecting him to play the game right now. Kabuto continues, "Take it slow and quiet. Let's use all the time we've got left." The squadlings all agree this is an appropriate plan, and we're transitioned to a scene playing out near the river where Kabuto is using like predator-like camouflage as he kneels on a tree branch before revealing himself. And like whenever he takes the camouflage off, he goes, that's more like it. It shows us Sakura, who's drudging through some high grass. It shows us Sasuke, who's swimming in the river with a bamboo snorkel. Kabuto engages his camouflage again and starts moving about the tree branches. Meanwhile, Naruto is revealed to be stuck in some vines dangling from a tree limb, struggling to break free. It shows us Kabuto using a device to line up the tower with the moon and determines aloud, "Okay, we're getting closer." He stands up and closes the device as all of the squadlings are around him, and they head out and Naruto walks up to what appears to be a piece of rope hanging from a tree branch. Kabuto grabs him on the shoulder and kind of motions for him to look up into the trees, where there are dead ninjas tied up and stabbed all over the place, right? Like these are clearly a trap. Sasuke remarks, "A trap, huh?" To which Kabuto responds, "Yeah, and it only gets worse from here on in." They all start to walk off when Naruto triggers a tripwire. He yells, "Hey!" as he struggles to keep his balance, when suddenly kunai come flying in from all over the place. Kabuto leaps in and shoves Naruto out of the way, but hits himself by several kunai in the back. And he drops to the ground. Like, he clearly got stabbed a whole bunch. And it's like a crazy moment, right? But then suddenly a plume of smoke erupts around Kabuto. And as the smoke clears, it's revealed that it was a log that got hit and that he'd been using a substitution jutsu. So good on him, right? Like, the substitution jutsus are really good for making like human shields and diversions and distractions and shit like that. Naruto stands up, clearly shocked, when Kabuto yells out from behind him, high up in a tree branch, "Well, that was close." As Naruto turns and finds Kabuto, he remarks, "Whoa, a substitution jutsu." Kabuto calls out, "Like I told you, it only gets worse from here on in," as he pushes his glasses up in like classic Kabuto fashion. Next, we're taken to the gang making their way through the forest when Sakura begins to collapse from exhaustion. As she does so, she calls out, "For crying out loud." Naruto immediately comes to her side as he calls out for her. Sakura is now on her hands and knees and trying to catch her breath while asking, "How far have we walked? That tower's not getting any closer." Naruto looks up and agrees. "Now that you mention it, I was thinking that too. It's weird." Kabuto thinks, maybe not. He then says aloud, "It would seem we've been spotted. Somebody's playing games with us. Look." And he points and asks, "Ring a bell?" Everybody looks in the direction of what Kabuto is pointing at, and Naruto sees it and exclaims, "Oh man, no way, it can't be." And in this moment, it reveals it to be the centipede from earlier, right? They've been walking in circles. Naruto then continues, "Hey, what's the big idea?" Sakura also asks, "What's going on?" And Sasuke remarks simply, "Genjutsu." To which Kabuto agrees, stating, "That's what it looks like, and we fell for it completely. We were so concerned with not being seen by anyone, we didn't see we were walking around in circles." Sasuke asks, "What's their game?" And Kabuto responds, "They're probably trying to wear us down, and then strike when we're frustrated and physically exhausted." And Sasuke asks, "You mean like we are right now?" Kabuto confirms this, answering, "Right." He then turns to Sasuke and says, "They'll be coming soon." All the gang gets on guard when suddenly rain ninja begin to literally emerge out of the trees everywhere. They're all in like some sort of black bodysuits with cloth masks and respirators, like clearly like part of the same unit, gang. And it's revealed that the gang is completely surrounded. They start to close in on the gang, and like we're talking, they got the gang surrounded like how Naruto had Mizuki Sensei surrounded in episode 1 type shit. Like there's a bunch of these guys coming out of the literal woodworks. It shows us 3 hidden rain ninja who are watching all of this from the trees some distance away, and I believe it's the same ninjas who were watching them earlier around the campfire. As the ninjas all close in on the gang, Sasuke remarks, "Well, Naruto, you wanted a fight." And Naruto smiles and remarks confidently, 4 against 40, I like those odds." The mob continues to close in, and the episode ends, right? So a very climactic way to end the episode, right? We obviously have like a big fight coming up on the way. I'll just start from reading off my final thoughts from the start. So Naruto is a dum-dum trying to open the scroll, and Sakura is a low-key dum-dum for playing along with it. I still can't believe Sakura for that. She's too smart for that type of foolery. Come on. I really do expect better out of Sakura. I love that Kabuto came out of nowhere to save the day. Good on him. Leaf Ninjas helping Leaf Ninjas. You can't be too upset about that. It's crazy that Kabuto already has 2 scrolls. I wonder how many his teammates have. They probably got all the scrolls between the 3 of them, because, I mean, they haven't really talked about what Kabuto's teammates are doing at all. So, Kabuto went and got him 2 scrolls, and then it seems like that was the moment whenever he decided he needed to go to the tower and wait for his teammates. And so presumably they're doing the same thing. Like, wouldn't it be crazy if Kabuto's team alone had 3 sets of the scrolls? I mean, damn, there's only 13 sets, and one of them's already been destroyed by Orochimaru, so there's really only 12 sets. So if all 3 of them got a set, that would be literally a quarter of all of the scrolls gotten by Kabuto's team alone. Shit, bro. Kabuto got 2 scrolls out here by himself. The dude's clearly a badass, and his teammates are out doing something in a similar way, so they're both clearly badasses as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens with Kabuto as things transpire, right? He's clearly a strong character. He clearly has like knowledge on a whole bunch of shit with his cards and stuff. Like, he's becoming a more interesting character as this all happens. It's cool on Sasuke for trying to arrange a fight for the extra scroll that Kabuto had. Honorable move not to jump him, right? Kabuto really fucked with him with his "your heart's really not in it, that's not what a ninja would do" comment. But I think whenever you're in an exam, right, and someone's from your village and it's someone who's helped you, I don't really have too much trouble with Sasuke trying to have like an honorable one-on-one fight. You know, like, hey bro, you helped us out, like I want your scroll, let's fight. If this had been like, I don't know, like some rain ninja, it seems like the rain ninja are like the fall guys in this arc right now. So like if this had just been like a rain ninja and he hadn't helped him, I would expect Sasuke to jump that fool. But like, just given the fact that Kabuto had helped, and that Kabuto is from their village, and that it's just an exam, right? I feel like whenever you add those three variables, I don't really blame Sasuke for acting the way he acted. If it was an enemy ninja and it wasn't a test, and this was like out in the field lifetime, I think they'd have jumped that fool. It'd have been like OG Jump Street. I love that Kabuto called out Sasuke for his BS. Remember the password, right? A ninja strikes when his opponent's weapons are down, forgotten in the night, and instead of living that and following through with that, in the situation with Kabuto, as Kabuto was leaving, he tried to arrange an honorable one-on-one fight, which is kind of contradictory to kind of contradictory to the things that people do, that a ninja would do. But either way, I'm here for it. I love that Sasuke got Kabuto's respect, so Kabuto decided to show them the way to the tower instead of obliging him with the fight. And this is basically something that the squadlings accept as a square deal, right? Like, okay, fine, you won't fight us and potentially give us that scroll, but you know we'll follow you to the tower and we'll see what happens between here and there. Funny that Kabuto warned of collectors, straight up Kibas of the world. Kiba was like, no one's gonna pass, I'm gonna have all the scrolls, and then got terrified by Gaara. It definitely seems like the squadlings are looking to Kabuto as a leader out here, which makes sense, right? He's clearly older. He's been through the tuning exam a couple times. He has a bunch of knowledge about all kinds of stuff. He helped them out. He kept them from nerfing themselves by opening the scroll. So like, you know, he's done a bunch to like earn some trust to this point. Kabuto's a badass for saving Naruto with a shadow clone, or just a clone, right? A substitution jutsu when Naruto got caught in the trap. Excellent use of clone jutsu or substitution jutsu. We need to understand the exact difference between clone and substitution. But it was a substitution jutsu, and Kabuto's a badass for using it. It had like big Kakashi feels. Big Kakashi feels. Anytime someone has gray hair, it's typically a badass, right? I can't believe these fools all got caught in a genjutsu, walking in circles, but the Forest of Death is a trying place, and they've been through a lot, so I guess I can cut them a little bit of slack. Crazy how many ninja there are surrounding them at this point. Like again, like we mentioned, this is like Naruto surrounding Mizuki in episode 1 type of shit. There's a lot of ninjas surrounding these fools right now. But they all look exactly the same. Like, it's not like a bunch of like generic Rain Ninja. It's like the exact same guy. So I'm starting to think that there's some type of like clones, right? They're somewhat encumbered. They're not like really moving very fast. They're almost like zombies, it would seem, at least how they are currently. And so I feel like there's some type of clones of sorts. But you know, that's effectively all the final thoughts that I have. There's some cool stuff coming on the horizon. I can't wait to see how this fight's going to transpire with the squadlings plus Kabuto fighting a group of hidden rain ninja. You know, if it's just a group of 3 using clones, they're probably pretty brave trying to go up against a group of 4. You know, clearly the math isn't in their favor there. But either way, man, we're going to see what happens on the next episode. Thanks you everybody for tuning in. This is the first podcast in the new studio with video and the new recording devices, and so hopefully you know, it's a step up in quality for everybody. Hopefully you guys all appreciate it. Thank y'all so much.